My little brother spent 7 years secretly destroying every relationship I had, so I let his girlfriend watch him get exposed over dinner. I paid for this story before dessert ever hit the table. My brother spent 7 years quietly wrecking every serious relationship I tried to build, because apparently he couldn't stand watching me be happy. I never had proof until about 6 months ago, when I finally caught him red-handed. And when he finally found a girl he was genuinely crazy about, I made absolutely sure she knew exactly who she was dating. She walked out of the restaurant before the appetizers even arrived. I'm Derek, 29, and my brother is Cody, 26. We grew up in a normal, comfortable, thoroughly unremarkable middle-class household in the suburbs. Our parents were decent, fair people. This isn't a golden child, black sheep sob story. But Cody always had this strange, simmering competitiveness with me, something that never fully made sense given how ordinary our childhood otherwise was. When we were kids, we were actually close, inseparable even. Video games, backyard football, the whole thing. But something shifted once we both hit our 20s, and looking back, I can pinpoint the exact moment it started. Right after I got my first serious girlfriend at 22. Her name was Megan. Megan was sharp, funny, the kind of person who made a room feel warmer just by walking into it. When I brought her home around the 3-month mark, everyone loved her instantly. Cody was especially friendly with her, maybe a little too friendly, but at the time I chalked it up to him just being a good, welcoming brother. By month 5, Megan started pulling away. Slow replies, cancelled plans, a weird new distance I couldn't explain. Then one day, out of nowhere, she broke up with me, citing vague, long-term compatibility issues. I was devastated, but I accepted it, because what else was I supposed to do? 6 months later, I met Brooke at a work conference. We hit it off immediately, and things were, once again, incredible. 3 months in, I brought her home. Cody was his usual charming, joke-cracking self. By month 4 or 5, Brooke started guarding her phone, getting distant, and eventually told me she wanted to end things. 2 relationships, the exact same outcome. I started spiraling, genuinely convinced there was something fundamentally broken in me that was pushing women away. Some invisible red flag only they could see. About a year later, I met Sierra, a rock-climbing barista with the kind of energy that made ordinary days feel like adventures. Around month 3, I introduced her to the family. Cody pulled the same charming uncle routine. But this time, around month 5, when Sierra started acting strange, I noticed Cody was texting more than usual during family dinners. Phone flipped face down on the table, slipping outside to take calls he wouldn't explain. I had no proof, though, so I said nothing. Sierra drifted and ended things 6 weeks later. 3 relationships, 3 identical scripts. After Sierra, I took 8 months off from dating entirely to focus on my career. About 3 years ago, I met Hannah, a nurse with this quiet, steady warmth that made me feel like I'd finally found solid ground. This was, without question, the best relationship of my life. We moved in together after 8 months, and I was genuinely thinking about proposing. This time, I made a decision. I wasn't going to introduce her to my family. I kept inventing excuses for almost a full year, and during that entire year, everything was perfect. No drama, no distance, just 2 people building a life, planning trips, house hunting on weekends. But eventually, Hannah started to feel like I was hiding her, like I was ashamed of her, and she pushed back, hard. So I finally caved and arranged a dinner at my parents' house. The dinner went fine. Cody was polite but noticeably reserved, not overly friendly this time, and for one brief, hopeful moment, I let myself believe he'd matured, or that I'd just been paranoid this whole time. Exactly 2 weeks after that dinner, Hannah changed. She got secretive, stopped talking about the future, started flinching away from plans we'd already made. When I pushed her on it, she admitted she'd been having doubts about us. And 3 weeks later, she ended it. I completely fell apart. We had built an actual life together, and it evaporated within a month of her meeting my family. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment and spent the better part of a year in a genuinely dark place, questioning every version of myself. Then, on a late night pulling overtime at the office, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Megan, my first girlfriend from 7 years earlier. She asked to meet at a Starbucks near my office, said it was important. When we sat down, she looked nervous, guilty even, and finally admitted something that rearranged my entire understanding of the last 7 years of my life. Right around the time we started dating, Cody had started messaging her privately on social media. It began innocently, she said, just checking in, asking how things were going. But it quickly turned into him confiding fabricated secrets about me. He told her I'd cheated on someone in college, which never happened. He told her I had an anger management problem and had once punched a hole in the wall during an argument, which also never happened. He told her I said demeaning, misogynistic things about women behind closed doors. Megan broke up with me because she was scared, plain and simple, and she'd stood guilt about it for years, only reaching out now because she'd seen on social media that I'd just gone through a brutal breakup with Hannah. She showed me the actual messages, months of Cody methodically feeding her fabricated horror stories designed to detonate our relationship from the inside. I tracked down Brooke almost immediately after that. When we met, she described the exact same playbook. Cody messaging her directly, claiming I'd been bad-mouthing her intelligence behind her back, claiming I was still actively using dating apps the entire time we were together. I went back and checked who Cody followed on social media, and there they all were. Megan, Brooke, Sierra, Hannah, every single one of my exes still followed, still watched. And every single time one of my relationships had started cracking, Cody's activity on my accounts and my ex's accounts spiked dramatically. To get evidence that couldn't be argued away, I built a burner social media account. Fake name, stock photos, a fabricated posting history designed to look like someone who just moved to the area. It took me 3 weeks of slow, deliberate posting to build up enough credibility before I sent Cody a friend request. After a few weeks of casual small talk about sports and local restaurants, I casually dropped in, "Hey, random question, do you know a guy named Derek? A friend of mine is seeing him and I wanted to get a read on the guy." Cody took the bait instantly, and I mean instantly. He launched into a monologue to this stranger about how I was toxic, how I had serious commitment issues, how I manipulated women psychologically and left emotional wreckage behind me everywhere I went. He painted himself as the noble, self-sacrificing little brother who'd spent years quietly trying to protect innocent women from his monstrous older sibling. I screenshotted every single word. The evidence was now, finally, completely airtight. About 4 months ago, Cody started seeing a girl named Paige, 25, a graphic designer. For the first time in his life, I watched Cody actually invest in a relationship, smiling at his phone when she texted, rearranging his schedule around hers, eventually even bringing her home to meet the family. By month 3, Cody was practically glowing, proudly announcing he was about to move in with her. I knew this was the moment. I reached out to Paige directly and asked her to meet me for coffee, just the two of us, no explanation beyond, "There's something you deserve to know before you move in with him." She agreed cautiously. I brought my laptop, opened a series of folders I'd organized meticulously by name and date, and walked her through everything, piece by piece. I showed her the fabricated messages Cody sent Megan, and Megan's own apology afterward. I showed her the manipulative messages sent to Brooke. I walked her through the pattern with Sierra and Hannah, timeline and all. And finally, I showed her the burner account conversation where Cody, thinking he was talking to a total stranger, cheerfully tore my reputation to shreds. Paige's hands were visibly shaking by the time she got through it all. I gave her Megan's and Brooke's numbers so she could verify everything herself, independent of me, because I didn't want her taking my word for it. I wanted her to see it with her own eyes and hear it from the women who'd actually lived it. Paige asked to photograph everything and said she needed a few days to process it. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Cody, screaming, cursing at me for ruining his entire life. Here's what happened, according to him, though I later got the fuller, calmer version from Paige herself. Cody had booked a table at an upscale Italian restaurant, planning to surprise Paige with a spare key to his apartment somewhere between the entree and dessert. But before the appetizers even arrived, Paige started asking him pointed questions. About Megan, about Brooke, about a mysterious friend of a friend burner account he'd apparently spoken to a little too candidly. She pulled out her phone and laid every single screenshot on the table, right there in the middle of the restaurant, methodically, one after another. She told him she hadn't just taken my word for it. She'd called Megan herself. She'd called Brooke herself. She'd even reached out to Sierra to compare notes, and every account matched perfectly. Cody tried to spin it, claiming I was jealous and had fabricated the whole thing out of bitterness. Paige wasn't having it. She told him she could not, in good conscience, build a life with someone capable of that level of calculated cruelty toward his own brother. She set $60 on the table for a meal she hadn't touched, told him to delete her number, and walked out. Cody sat alone in that restaurant for 20 minutes before he could even bring himself to leave. When he finally finished screaming at me over the phone, I stayed completely calm and asked him one question. Do you remember Megan, Brooke, Sierra, Hannah? Did you ever once think about what 7 straight years of doubting myself did to me? He immediately pivoted to excuses. I was jealous, okay? You always had it easier than me. It started as a stupid joke, and then it spiraled out of control, and I didn't know how to stop. And I cut him off mid-sentence. I don't care why you did it. I just wanted you to feel a fraction of what I felt. Then I hung up. The next morning, I sent every last piece of evidence to our parents. Screenshots, timelines, the burner account conversation, all of it, laid out in order. My mother cried on the phone. My father went completely silent, the kind of silence that says more than any lecture could. 2 months later, Cody and I still haven't spoken a single word to each other. My parents ended up hosting Thanksgiving across 2 separate days this year because I made it clear I wasn't going to sit in the same room as him. Not this year, maybe not for a long time. As for the women whose lives got tangled up in this mess, Megan is happily married now, and she reached out again recently just to say she was glad the truth had finally come out. Brooke sent me a genuinely warm message congratulating me for finally getting closure after all these years. As for me, I've started seeing someone new, a veterinarian named Claire, and I told her the entire truth about Cody by our 3rd date. No hiding it, no softening it. She listened to the whole thing and, remarkably, didn't flinch once. If anything, it seemed to make her trust me more, knowing I wasn't going to bury the ugly parts of my life just to look better on a first impression. Work has actually been going great too. I just got promoted to a management position overseeing 8 people, and Claire and I have started seriously looking at houses together, which is a sentence I genuinely didn't think I'd get to say again after everything that happened with Hannah. People keep asking if I regret telling Paige the truth, if I feel bad for blowing up my brother's one shot at happiness after everything he'd already taken from me. And honestly, no, I don't regret a single second of it. For 7 years I carried around this quiet, corrosive belief that something was wrong with me, that I was the reason every good thing in my life eventually fell apart, when the whole time it was never me at all. It was him. Especially calculated, patient, and completely hidden. Cody needed to learn, in the most undeniable way possible, that actions like that eventually catch up to you. That you can't spend 7 years quietly poisoning the well and expect to walk away clean forever. I'm not interested in reconciliation right now, and I'm not interested in pretending this was some petty tit-for-tat prank war between brothers. What he did was calculated, sustained, and deeply personal, targeting the most vulnerable, hopeful parts of my life over and over again. And the fact that it took me 7 years and a burner account to finally prove it doesn't make it any less serious. If anything, it makes it worse, because it means he got away with it for 7 straight years, while I quietly blamed myself. So no, I don't feel guilty about Paige finding out at that dinner table instead of after the lease was signed and the U-Haul was already parked outside. She deserved to know exactly who she was building a life with, the same way Megan and Brooke and Sierra and Hannah deserved to know, the same way I deserved, a long time ago, to know why every relationship I built kept quietly falling apart around me, for reasons that had nothing to do with anything I'd actually done.